For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Coming to you live here on Primetime from the Circus Sportsbook. I'm Scott Seidenberg, right here on VSiN, the sports betting network, as the playoff action in both the NBA and the NHL is about to begin. I don't want to waste any time because we are 5 minutes away from tip-off of our game of the night. Let's get to it.
The lights are on and the stakes are high. It's the Primetime game of the night.
Game 2 in Boston between the Knicks and the Celtics, after the Knicks somehow stole Game 1 from the Celtics in overtime. Probably thanks to the Celtics missing 45 three-pointers. But the Knicks win Game 1, 108-105. Game 2, minutes away from tipping off there at TD Garden. The Celtics right now are a 10-point favorite. Your total is at 211. Let's look across the board and see if we can get some discounted prices anywhere. Probably not. Here at Circa, we are at minus 10.5. And the best number you're going to get if you want to play an under is the 211.5 that is available, a couple of spots. But for the most part, here at Circa, sharpest book in town, Celtics minus 10.5, total of 211. For the first half, and this is where the tax comes into play. I understand it's the zigzag. The team that lost the prior game, especially as the home favorite, now playing here in game number 2 at home. They need to even the series. So yeah, there's 10.5-point favorites for the game. They're also 7.5-point favorites for the first half. But we got a couple of best bets here in this game that is moments away from tipping off. We are attacking this game from multiple angles. 1, we're back in the Boston Celtics in the first half. Yes, we're paying the tax. We don't care. 2, we're back in the Celtics on the spread. 3, we're going with the Knicks team total under. That's at 100.5. I know some books have it down to 99.5, and let me explain why. This season, the Celtics, after a loss, have been one of the more dominant teams in the NBA. 20-2 straight up after a loss for the Boston Celtics. 18-4 against the spread, covering the spread by 8.3 points per game on an average line of minus 10.5, which is what the line is here in this game tonight. Not only are they covering those 10.5-point spreads by an average of 8.3 points per game, but their opponent's team total is 17-5 to the under, going under by 9.5 points per game. This is the Celtics system that we've been playing the entire season. After a loss, we go Celtics opponent's team total to go under. So, best bet number 1. Knicks team total under 100.5. If the only number you can get out there is 99.5, I'm okay with it. I don't think it's going to be that close. Right now, let's see. DraftKings has 100.5. We can play that. That's available for you. Knicks under 100.5, 100.5 points. Now, let's talk about what happened earlier in this playoffs. The Celtics lost to the Magic. They bounced back with a win, covered the spread, and the Magic just barely went over their team total by 2 points. But that team total was actually bet down. The game total was bet down. So if you got an early number on the Magic team total in that game, you might have had yourself a push and not necessarily a loss. But the Magic did go slightly over. But on the season as a whole, 17-5 to the opponent's team total under after a Celtics loss, going under by 9.5 points per game. So why is this going to play out this way? Well, let's look at what happened in that game one. The Knicks they shot really well from three-point range, 17 of 37, and it still took them overtime to get a win by 3 points, scoring 108 points. They only scored 100 in regulation. So if you go back and you just look at the Knicks in game one, shooting lights out from three-point range, as I mentioned, 17 of 37, they still only scored 100 points. That's under their team total here for this game. So if the shooting cools down just slightly, we're going to be good for this Knicks team total to go under. And then from a Celtics perspective, missing 45 three-pointers is not going to happen again. That was historic, and it's not going to happen again. After a loss this year, the Celtics are averaging 120.6 points per game. This game has a 115 to 95 total written all over it, where the Celtics are going to score. They're going to go over their team total. Knicks are not. They're going to go under. Celtics cover the spread comfortably. And in the first half, Celtics are outscoring their opponents 58 to 51 in the first halves after a loss this year. But there's another trend I want to point to, and that's the playoff history here of teams that lose as a heavy favorite, and then in the next game are once again listed as a heavy favorite. So not only do the Celtics qualify for this, but also the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that's a game we're going to get to a little bit later on once that game is close to the beginning. But get this, if you lose a game as a 9-point favorite in the NBA playoffs, at least a 9-point favorite, I should say, and then in the next game, you are once again listed as at least a 9-point favorite. Well, those teams are undefeated, 13-0 straight up, never lost. Not only are they undefeated straight up, they're winning by 17.5 points per game. They're 9-4 against the spread, those teams, covering by an average of 6.8 points per game. But this is something that really jumped out to me. The average score in those games, 109.9 to 92.4. That's why you get your cover of the 9 points. But get this, in the first half, those teams that lose as a massive favorite, like the Celtics did, like the Thunder did, and are once again listed as a heavy favorite over 9 points, they are outscoring their opponents in the first half by 10 points, 55 to 45. So I know we're getting taxed on it. I understand that. I'm willing to admit when we're not getting the same number that we should be getting. But I'm okay with the Celtics here in the first half, just like I'll be okay with the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first half. But we are underway in Boston. I'm Scott Seidenberg. This is VSiN PrimeTime right here on VSiN, the sports betting network. So our game of the night is underway. Knicks with an early 3-2 lead over the Boston Celtics. I guess we're done, right? We're done. We might as well call it quits here now. But it is OG Anunoby who hits the first shot for the Knicks, a three-pointer from OG. Meanwhile, the first shot is a Drew Holiday two-pointer. So 3-2. The Knicks lead the Celtics as we are 2 minutes into the first quarter there in Boston. Also underway or getting underway momentarily will be the Stanley Cup Playoffs game number 2 between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Florida Panthers. And the biggest thing I could say about this game is that the Toronto Maple Leafs will be without their starting goaltender, Anthony Stolarz. Joseph Woll will be in net for the Maple Leafs tonight. Toronto won Game 1 of this series, looking to take a 2-game-to-none lead. But in Game 1, there was a call it incidental, call it on purpose, whatever you want to call it. There was contact to the head of goaltender Anthony Stolarz by Sam Bennett of the Florida Panthers. The league, there was no penalty called at the time. The league did review it. No suspension, no discipline. But you wonder if the Toronto Maple Leafs will have some, there'll be some repercussions in this game. Will the Maple Leafs go after Sam Bennett? We know the crowd's going to boo him every time he's on the ice, but will the Maple Leafs go after him? And the other thing that I'm very intrigued by in this game, which is why it's a reason why I actually like the over. And I'm on the over. So if you want a best bet for this game, it's the over 5.5. It's minus 125 right now. The reason why I like the over is, one, I think that the Panthers are going to pepper Joseph Woll and test him early and often. Joseph Woll had a nice season. He did. And he ranks in the top half of the league in goals saved above expected. But he's not as good as Anthony Stolarz, who is fourth best in the league. And as a reason why, when I did my criteria of, how to win a Stanley Cup, and elite goaltending was one of my categories, the Leafs were in the top of those teams because of Anthony Stolarz, not because of Joseph Woll. So I do think we get Woll, or at least the Panthers trying to attack Woll early and often. Look for constant pucks on net. And whether that's, in a traditional shot setting or as soon as they get into the blue line, they might not look for the extra pass. They might just look for some rebounds. Just throw pucks on net and let's test this goaltender. And some of them might go through. So I like the over. Panthers team that's averaging over 3 goals per game in this playoffs. That's one reason why I like the over. The other reason I like the over, I think the officials are going to send a message in this game. Yes, we know somebody ran into the goaltender and got him hurt. We're going to protect the goaltenders. So anybody gets close, anybody puts a shot on a goaltender, we're calling an interference penalty. And guess what? If somebody wants some retribution, somebody wants some extracurricular activity, we're going to call another penalty. I think we get some power play opportunities tonight as the officials look to police this game so that it doesn't get out of hand. We had 8 power play opportunities in game number 1. Don't be surprised if we have just as many, if not more, in this game tonight. And by the way, that game 1 went over 5-4. This one will go over as well. Just getting underway, monitoring all the playoff action tonight. I'm Scott Seidenberg. It's prime time right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on VSiN PrimeTime, I'm Scott Seidenberg, right here on the Sports Betting Network. Always on Twitter at Scott's On Air. And joining us now on the Progressive guest line, you read his work on VSiN.com all the time. You follow him on Twitter at Betting on X. He is Zachary Cohen. Zach, thanks so much for joining us here on Primetime as we are watching the Knicks and the Celtics. And to recap the best bets that I gave out earlier, I'm on the Celtics in the first half. I know we're being taxed on it at the 7. I'm okay with it. I like the Celtics to cover the game, and my best bet of best bets is the Knicks team total to go under 100.5. And I guess I'm happy that they took 2 points off the board, Zach. Tell us what happened there.
It was just an Anunoby 3, and they went back and reviewed it. They saw it was still on his fingertips. I'm happy that you're happy. I have the over 210.5 in this game. It is not looking good. But I will say, I'm starting to want to get in on the zigzag theory. I go against it. I keep thinking that it's ridiculous, like just, inflating numbers up 3-4 points from where the numbers should be, but it keeps hitting in these playoffs. So at some point I have to stop resisting.
Well, let me give you some data here that I found out when it comes to not just the zigzag, but the teams that are heavy favorites. So going back through the history of the database and the Killer Sports, I know you're in the Killer Sports contest here, and it goes back to 2002. If you are a 9-point or greater favorite in the NBA playoffs and you lose that game, and then the next game against the same team, obviously, you're once again a 9-point or greater favorite. You are an undefeated 13-0 straight up, winning by 17.5 points per game, 9-4 against the spread, but you are outscoring your opponent in the first half 55-45. So I am okay with the tax. I'll lay the 7 with both teams in the first half. I got the Celtics in the first half, and I got the Thunder in the first half.
Yeah, I did play the Thunder -11 in the Killer Sports contest. I think there's a few things working against Denver. I know we all kind of thought they'd be really tired heading into game one. Maybe they got up for that game because, it was just a really important game. At some point, that fatigue is going to factor in, and they did just play 2 nights ago. All the guys played big minutes. I think they're going to be fatigued tonight, and the Thunder are going to be hungry. And I also do like that Scott Foster is on the game. As ridiculous as it is to actually factor that into your handicapping, it's his first game back in like 2 months. He's going to make it about himself a little bit. I think we're going to see SGA shoot like 15, 16 free throws tonight.
Oh, that's interesting. Would you go over an SGA points prop just because you think he's going to get a bunch from the free throw line?
The only reason that I wouldn't is because I do think there's a chance it's going to be a blowout.
Okay. What props do you have in that game?
I took Hartenstein over 3.5 assists at plus 140. He only had 1 in that first game, but in terms of potential assists, he had 5, and adjusted assists, he had 4. This is a guy that averaged 3.8 assists per game during the regular season. He's very, very good at spotting, cutters, open 3-point shooters, and he's playing against a Nuggets team that I just don't trust defensively. After the All-Star break, this is the 22nd team in the NBA in adjusted defensive rating. I believe only 5 teams allowed more assists per game than they did after that All-Star break. So I think it's a really good matchup for a smart passer like him, especially one that really isn't on the scouting report for his offense. They're going to give him some room. That's going to give him time to find his guys easy opportunities.
Zachary, what's been your take overall on these NBA playoffs? I know everyone wants to talk about, how great the games have been because of the buzzer beaters, the game-winning shots late and everything. And I understand, for me, I think that that's results bias because what I've seen is whether it's the Celtics missing 45 three-pointers or teams not being able to execute late in games, I think we've seen a lot of bad basketball being played. I mean, it's one thing to say, incredible comeback from 20 points down, but let's look at exactly how that happened with the other team playing terrible basketball. So what's been your overall sense of this postseason?
It's funny. I didn't think of it that way until you just said it. So I think it's a glass half full, glass half empty thing where you could look at it as really bad coaching, really bad collapses, but it has resulted in some good drama that I believe the NBA needs. I mean, every year I'm tired of people that don't even watch hockey telling me that they love the hockey playoffs and the NBA playoffs are terrible. So I think having some juice this postseason has been really good for the NBA. I think the one thing I'll say that stands out to me is I believe there was a little bit more parity in the league than people thought. During the regular season. I think that the Pacers were much better than we thought because of a slow start to the year. But from December on, they played like a top 7 team in the NBA. And in the Western Conference, I think that there were teams, in the 6 to 8 range that are just very good, but the Timberwolves being one of them. We saw them go out and beat the Lakers to a pulp, and they obviously lost game 1, played really poorly there, but I do think they're going to advance. I thought they were going to advance even if they, had to face a healthy Warriors team.
So with that parity, does it surprise you to see the spreads that we've seen in all of these games? I mean, yes, if you took the points, obviously you're 5-0 here in the second round. In fact, all 5 dogs we know won outright, and it's the first time in NBA playoffs history that the 4 road teams, the 4 dogs, won their game 1s in the second round of the NBA playoffs. But to see these spreads, double-digit spreads in these games, does it surprise you considering the fact that we have all this parity in the league?
Definitely in some instances. It didn't surprise me in Nuggets Thunder game 1. Obviously, the Nuggets ended up winning that game outright, but I did think that the rest advantage was going to be huge for Oklahoma City. So I thought they were going to win that game pretty big. I do think that in the Pacers series, it has surprised me because, like I said, like if you look from December on and really do your research, you see that Indiana was pretty close to being the 3rd best team in the Eastern Conference if they weren't already. So I think that the Pacers should not have been getting that many points in Cleveland in game 1, and I'm surprised to see them getting so much in game 2. Even once the injuries were announced, it was still around 7. I thought that was a little disrespectful. And even now, you're seeing them getting points at home in a game where they've already proven they could beat this team. So I'm surprised that they are 2-point underdogs in game 3.
Our very own Zach Cohen joining me, Scott Seidenberg, here on the Progressive Guest Line. It is VSiN PrimeTime as we track everything going on in the NBA playoffs. Celtics up 16-4 over the Knicks with 4:22 to go in the first quarter. Your live line, Celtics minus 17.5. Your live total, 197.5. Let's hope the scoring picks up for Zach's over bet, as long as it's the Celtics scoring and not the Knicks. I'm happy with it, Zach. But you mentioned injuries, so let's talk about the big one. Steph Curry not going to play game 2 for the Golden State Warriors. We have a combined situation here with this spread. We have the zigzag factor, with the home team losing game one. Obviously, their line is inflated for game two, plus the Curry injury. Timberwolves 10.5-point favorites. What's your take on how much that spread has moved and how high it's gotten?
It's not that surprising to me. I think that also you have to factor in that the Timberwolves shot 5 for 29 from 3 in that game one. And this is a team that was 4th in the league in three-point shooting in terms of makes after the All-Star break and shot 37% from 3. This is a team that can really shoot the 3 ball. So what we saw in game one was a complete outlier in a bad way. And I think they're going to bounce back in a huge way in game 2. I know that Golden State might look much better defensively, honestly, without Curry, but it's just going to be a game where I think that the Warriors are going to be a little bit broken mentally at a certain point. I think that there's a chance maybe they win one of these next 3 games with Curry out. It's going to take a big Jimmy Butler effort somewhere, and we have not really seen that version of Butler since, maybe the play-in tournament. I think that injury against the Rockets, we fell on his back, really did hurt him. But I do think we're going to see a big performance in Minnesota, and we're going to see Golden State kind of crack a little bit. So I'd be laying the points, if anything.
We have the Thunder minus 290 in their series. Timberwolves are minus 185 in that series we just mentioned. And the Pacers are now minus 205 with the 2 games still on lead and returning home. Any of those series prices or maybe a total games market here that intrigues you if you want to look at an over 5.5 or an under 5.5 in any of these series?
I'd maybe be looking to parlay some of them. After the 2 game 1 losses the other night, I got Celtics and Thunder together at minus 135, which, felt like a dream after what that would have been priced at before that. I still feel the same way about both of these favorites. So I'd be looking to Oklahoma City as a parlay team for the series. I'm not sure how many games this one's going to end in, but I do think they have a pretty clear edge over Denver. I know how good Joker is. I know he's the best player on the floor in this series, but I do think that the Nuggets are lacking, 3-point shooting, at least, in terms of depth. Like outside of Murray, Porter, they really don't have much in terms of firepower. So when those guys are off the floor, that's when the Thunder can kind of make things up and run them out. So I think Oklahoma City is going to bounce back, and it's just about finding a team to pair them with. Maybe it is the Pacers, because I honestly do believe Indiana is going to win one of these next 2 games, and maybe Cleveland kind of figures things out in game 5 if they get healthy, but I don't see them winning 3 in a row if it becomes 3-1.
Final thing, Zach, and we got about a minute left here. Celtics up 19-9, 2:39 to go in the first quarter. Live total 196.5. Celtics minus 15.5 on the live line. Anything intrigue you from a live betting perspective? Maybe a second quarter bet, something that you want to attack here based on what you've seen this game start out at?
I was actually looking at Celtics second quarter minus 3.5 before this game, because Porzingis is coming off the bench. He's going to come back in, I believe. So if he does come in there and he is, somewhat healthy, that's going to be a big boost against a Knicks team that really doesn't have a bench. And they might have tired legs. They might bring in some of those, untrustworthy rotation guys. And I can see the Celtics kind of beating up on them in the second unit.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that, as we do have the Celtics first half spread. So we are sweating that out. Zach, appreciate the time. Great stuff. Continue your great work at VSiN.com. We'll be reading and following along.
Thank you.
There he is, Zachary Cohen, our very own, joining us on the Progressive Guest Line. Check him out on Twitter at BettingOnX. Read all of his articles at VSiN.com. We'll get you caught up on everything going on in the NBA, the NHL, and Major League Baseball coming up next. This is Primetime with me, Scott Seidenberg, right here on VSiN.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Back here on VSiN Primetime, I'm Scott Seidenberg, always on Twitter at ScottsOnAir, ScottsOnair. Let's monitor the action and our bets and sweats here going on in all of the playoffs and in Major League Baseball as well. We'll talk about the MLB scoreboard coming up. We got the Celtics with a 24-13 lead over the Knicks with the first quarter winding down. So looking good so far for the Knicks team total to go under as we look at the live numbers on your team totals. And we have the Knicks at 88.5. The Celtics, meanwhile, 104.5. If I was to make a bet on one of those right now, it would be the Boston Celtics, as I do think that this is going to wind up being, as I mentioned, what I quoted with Zach earlier, I think this is a blowout game. I think this is, all the numbers tell me, everything, all the variance for the three-point shooting that happened last game, that's going to come back around. And the Celtics, who shot so poorly, missing a record 45 three-pointers in that Game 1 loss, right now they are 3 of 10 from three-point land. Now, the Knicks are 1 of 8, which, that's bad, but it's also, I knew the Knicks were not going to shoot as good as they did in the last game. And so they are Knicks are 1 of 8. The Celtics are 3 of 10. We know the Celtics are going to shoot probably 35 more three-pointers in this game. If they can go 10, if they can make 10 of those, they're going to be in pretty good shape here, and they're going to score a ton more points. So if there was a team total that I would bet on now, it would be the Celtics to go over, and I'm not touching the Knicks because obviously I'm already on the Knicks team total to go under. But the Celtics team total with 24 points at the end of the first quarter is at 104.5. The Knicks are at 87.5, 24-13. The Celtics lead. Here's what your second quarter spread is right now. Celtics minus 3.5 with a total of 53.5. I'll be honest. I lean towards that 53.5 to go over. I do think that we're going to get more points being scored here in this second quarter, just because, hey, it's not going to be it's not going to be 1 of 8 for the Knicks from 3-point range here in the second quarter. So I give the Knicks, they scored 14 points in the first quarter, 13 points in the first quarter. I think the Knicks are capable of scoring 20 to 25 here in this second quarter. And the Celtics, to me, if they can get to, they're going to score more than 24 points here. So let's see if we have any team totals here for this quarter. I like it a lot. I think the Celtics do pull away here in this second quarter. So up on DraftKings right now, second quarter spread is Celtics minus 3.5. I'm looking at MGM, though. MGM's got Celtics minus 1.5 for the second quarter. Total is at 53.5. So the Celtics are up, as I mentioned, 24-13 right now. So an 11-point lead. And I do think that they go into the half with more than this 11-point lead. The second quarter is usually when other teams get on a run here, but I don't trust the New York Knicks, and I've been on the Celtics this entire time here. So if I was to lean on a side, I'd go with the Celtics here in the second quarter. As Zach said, more Kristaps Porzingis probably in this second quarter. KP came off the bench and has played, let's see, how has he played so far? Just 3 minutes. So you're going to get more Kristaps Porzingis. You'll probably get more Peyton Pritchard, although he did play 6 minutes. Pritchard just 1 of 3 from 3-point range, but KP has not taken a shot yet. So I think the Celtics do find a way to pull away here in this second quarter. I would go Celtics second quarter, not at the 3.5 though. If you can get a line out there like there is available, as I'm looking at MGM has a minus 1.5, I would play that. But I like the over 53.5 for this second quarter. If we're isolating, I'd love to isolate a team total here, but I don't know if we have. Team total second quarter, Celtics 28.5, Knicks 26.5. That's the question. Do we want to isolate one of these teams, or do we just want to play the over in the second quarter? Now the Celtics is actually down to 27.5, total down to 52.5 as we are underway here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play the over 52.5 right now in the second quarter. Let's see if I can get this in. All right, we're in. All right, guys, we're in. Let's get a little scoring flurry here in the second quarter. As I mentioned, the 3-point variance is the biggest thing in this game. So from a live betting perspective, that's what you want to look at. Obviously, in game number 1, the Celtics continued to miss. Now, at home, that shouldn't happen. You shouldn't miss 45 3-pointers. No one's shocked that they took 60 of them. The Celtics shoot 45 at least a game. They're the team that shoots the most and makes the most 3-pointers over the course of a game in the NBA this year. So not shocking that they shot that many threes. It was shocking that they missed that many threes. Now, the hope here is, if you look at the first half box score, they were 3 of 10. The Knicks were 1 of 8 The theory is that if the Knicks make a couple of more threes here in the second quarter and the Celtics make a couple of more threes here in the second quarter, you're going to have a higher scoring second quarter than we did in the first quarter. So that's why I went in on the over 52.5 for the second quarter. I do think we get more points being scored. But we're hoping that those points come from the Celtics, not the Knicks, because as we talked about earlier, I am on the Celtics in the first half, minus the 7 points, and I do have the Knicks team total to go under. So those are two things we absolutely want to keep an eye on and monitor throughout this game. If you are interested in buying in on the Knicks right now, here's your spread, your live spread for the game is plus 13.5 you can get on the Knicks. It is a 26-18 lead for the Celtics. You can get plus 13.5 if you were interested in the New York Knicks. If you're interested in a live total, it is at 193.5. On the ice, Alexander Barkov has scored the first goal of the game as the Panthers lead the Maple Leafs 1-0 with about 5 minutes to go in the first period. Your live total right now is at 5.5, which is what it was prior to the game, except prior to the game it was juiced at minus 125, and now you got minus 110 on the over 5.5, or same thing, over and under 5.5 is at minus 110 both ways. I do think that it's an over game. I'm curious, have we seen any power plays yet? Let's take a look inside the box score to see what we have so far on the ice. We have had three power plays. Oh, no, that's game number one. No, we've had 3 power plays already here. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen, is that the officials were going to police this game early, and we would have power play opportunities. The Panthers have scored on their only power play attempt, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are 0 of 2 on the power play. 5 shots on goal for the Panthers, 4 shots on goal for the Maple Leafs. So, Alexander Barkov, your only goal as of right now. 5 minutes to go in the first period. Panthers lead 1-0 with your total at 5.5. In Major League Baseball, we have several games in progress, and coming up a little bit later on in the program, we'll be joined by our very own Greg Peterson to talk about the Major League Baseball schedule here for tonight. But they're going to the top of the 4th inning in Fenway. The Rangers with an early 1-0 lead over the Red Sox. Red Sox haven't gotten a hit yet in the first 3 innings. Tyler Mahle, who's had a tremendous start to his season, is on the mound for the Rangers, and Tanner Houck on the bump for the Red Sox. No score between the Phillies and the Rays in Tampa. This is a matchup between Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies and Shane Baz for the Rays. They're in the bottom of the 2nd inning there in Tampa. Bottom of the 2nd inning in the Bronx, Yankees and Padres are scoreless. Dylan Cease on the bump for the Padres, and Max Fried going for the Yankees. Fried has been incredible this season, absolutely putting himself in the Cy Young conversation in the American League with his 0.96 ERA. That is including the 2 innings that he has thrown scoreless so far here in this game. Meanwhile, top of the 2nd inning, the Reds with an early 2-0 lead over the Braves. Grant Holmes for Atlanta giving up a first inning, couple of home runs there, or 1 home run there in the first inning. And for the Reds, it is Hunter Green on the mound, who is clean so far through just his short, limited work. Still have a couple of games on your schedule coming up, including the Orioles at the Twins, White Sox at the Royals, Tigers at the Rockies, a game that was rained out yesterday, and the Blue Jays at the Angels, where former Blue Jay Yusei Kikuchi pitches for the Angels against Toronto. Want to remind you guys about the incredible deal we have going on right now at VSiN.com, where for a limited time we are slashing the price of our annual subscription. Normally it's $240, but right now it's $199. When you sign up today, we're going to throw in an extra 2 months for free. That's 14 months of VSiN Pro access for less than 50 cents a day when you use promo code PRO. Get 14 months of access to our daily best bets from VSiN hosts and guests, exclusive splits from DraftKings and Circa, 24/7 live video, and full show replays on the VSiN Watch app, plus all of our special edition betting guides. Simply head to vsin.com/subscribe and use promo code PRO to lock in 14 months of VSiN Pro for just $199. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. An update on the playoff action in progress coming up next with me, Scott Seidenberg, here on VSiN PrimeTime.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
A power play goal for the Toronto Maple Leafs has tied the game at 1. As we talked about it before the last break, there was going to be more power play opportunities in this game as the refs look to take control of what, could be a very chippy series. And so a penalty called on Sasha Barkov, and so the Toronto Maple Leafs cash in. They had been 0 of 2 on the power play. They are now 1 of 3 as they cash in, and the game is tied at 1 between the Panthers and the Maple Leafs with a minute and a half to go in the first period. Your live total is now 6.5, juiced to the over at -120. I'm Scott Seidenberg. It's VSiN Primetime right here on VSiN, the sports betting network. Still to come on the ice later. It's game 1 between the Dallas Stars and the Winnipeg Jets. And it was Dallas as the early favorite in this, but Winnipeg is now evened that up. It is -110 both ways. And I think the reason why we have seen the line move in favor of the Winnipeg Jets is because it looks like Mark Scheifele will return for the Jets tonight, but I do not believe that Josh Morrissey, will be available for them tonight. He's dealing with an injury, but Mark Scheifele is expected to return, as is Jason Robertson, a key forward for the Dallas Stars. So we'll talk more about that game as it gets closer and closer to the puck drop there. But we're under a minute left to go in the first period. 1-1. Panthers and Maple Leafs are tied there in Toronto. We have a stoppage here in Boston as the Celtics lead the Knicks 30-23 with 7 minutes to go in the first half. And I've noticed a couple of things here. One, we're on pace to not go over this second quarter. The live total here in the second quarter is at 48.5. So we are a long ways from that second quarter going over as both of these teams continue to struggle to score in any way. So it's not just about the shots that, maybe the shots will eventually start falling. I mean, the shots just aren't falling at all. The Knicks are now 1 of 9 from three-point range, so they've only attempted 1 here in the second quarter. The Celtics are 3 of 14, so the Celtics are 0 of 4. So the Knicks 0 of 1 from three-point range here in the second quarter. Celtics 0 of 4, but Karl Anthony Towns is arguing with the official on every single possession. And I get it. He is getting contacted. The Celtics are playing a very, very physical brand of defense. But that's what they do. This is what we expected. This is why we went with the Knicks team total to go under. This is what we have seen from the Celtics after a loss throughout this entire season. They lock it down defensively, and they do get very physical with you. But the more that I'm watching Karl Anthony Towns argue with the officials after every single one of these possessions, he is going to get a technical. It's going to happen. We're going to see this guy get teed up. So something to keep an eye on as we progress throughout this game. But literally, as I look up every single time down the floor, as he's posting up Al Horford or he's going down low against Luke Cornett, if he makes the basket or misses the basket, I mean, he is yelling at the official on every single trip down the floor, as there's just been no free throws, no fouls called right now. Actually looking inside the box score to see how many free throw attempts. The Knicks 2 of 2 from the free throw line. The Celtics 1 of 3. Now this is what you want to see if you are on an under. If you're on an under, you want to see them letting you play, because that's going to be the physicality on defense is going to lend itself towards an under. Meanwhile, it's not like, what was that? It was the game 6, I believe it was. Yeah, I lost the under. I had the Knicks and Pistons to go under in game number 6, and I lost that under. It flew over the total. But there was like 70-something free throws shot in that game. And I'm like, that's a lot for an NBA game. I mean, you're usually going to get maybe like 50 or so free throws shot. I think that's what it was in Game 1 between the Knicks and the Celtics. Let's see, it was 63 in the Game 6 between the Knicks and the Pistons. Maybe it was the Game 5. Let's see, the Game 5. No, that game wasn't under game. But the Game 5, 66 free throws. That one had about almost 60. So it's kind of on pace. I mean, here we've gone the entire first half. We've only had 5 free throws. So if we're going to get 60 free throws in this game, that means that in the second half, like, we're going to get 55 free throws. Or from this point on, from the 4-minute mark here of the second quarter on, we're going to get 55 free throws. I mean, that's crazy to think, but they are, they are letting these guys play. They are absolutely letting, and as the Celtics continue to miss from three-point range. They have shot now, finally they make one. That is their first make of the second quarter. I mentioned in the first quarter, the Celtics were 3 of 10 from three-point range. They are now 1 of 8 here in the second quarter from three-point range. They were 0 of 8 before they just made a 3. So I thought maybe the cold shooting would turn itself around and they'd start to get these shots to fall. Not quite the case, as 1 of 8 from three-point range for the Boston Celtics here in the second quarter. Meanwhile, for the Knicks, who were 1 of 9, they're now 2 of 10, and the score is 40-30. The Celtics leading the Knicks with 4:34 to go here in the first half. The Knicks have just outscored the Celtics 17-16 so far in this third quarter, as we're looking at some live numbers here for the third quarter. And let's see, where are we at here? Live line for the game is Celtics minus 13.5. Live total of 191.5. Live total for the second quarter back up to 52.5. So a little bit of a surge here has gotten us on pace for the over. We'll see if they can continue the scoring. Obviously, we want them to make these threes that they are attempting. We are into the first intermission, meanwhile, between the Panthers and the Maple Leafs. They are all tied at 1. And as I mentioned, the power plays have just been the difference, right? Or not the difference, but something that it was a betting angle that we were looking at prior to this game being started was, would the officials, because of what happened in that first game, because of the hit to the goaltender, would there be some retaliation, and would the officials look to police this game to make sure that nothing gets out of hand? And I thought maybe if somebody gets close to a goaltender, there'd be a call, or if there's any extracurricular activity after the whistle, there'd be a call. Well, we've had 4 power plays already in this game. The Panthers are a perfect 1 of 1, and the Toronto Maple Leafs started 0 of 2, but then cashed in on their third power play. So 1-1, the Maple Leafs lead the Panthers after the first period. Your live line right now is Panthers minus 154 for the game. The minus 1.5 on the puck line is plus 190. Toronto is plus 120 for the game. They are minus 250 on the plus 1.5 on the puck line. Your live total is at 6.5 right now, as the first period, as I mentioned, has come to a close here. And let's take a look at some angles here for the second period. So we've had how many shots on goal? So far through this game, we've had 6 shots on goal for the Panthers and 5 for the Maple Leafs, and your second period total is at 1.5, minus 160 to the over. Whew. I mean, I do like it. I really do. I like the over in the second period. Minus 160 is a lot. Now, another way that I've looked to bet this, and certain books offer this bet, other books don't. But I know here in town we have STN offers it. I got to check to see if Circa offers it, but you can bet both teams to score. And oftentimes, you are getting a plus 150 price on the both teams to score in the period. And so, yes, I understand you can hit an over with just getting one of these teams to score 2 goals. And you want to lay the minus 160, okay, that's fine. But another way I like to get at it, when I do like a period to go over, and more so in a game that I already like to go over, which I'm already on the over in this game, but if there's no goal scored in the first period, or only 1 goal scored in the first period, I do like to look at that second period to go over, and I like taking a shot at that plus 150 price or plus 160, depending on what your book offers, on both teams to score in that second period. Because it's one of the, it's not a, you're going to get crazy, you're going to get different juice, much less when it comes to a third period because you got the empty net opportunities and things like that. But I do like taking a look in the second periods to look at both teams to score because you do get around that plus 150 price or so depending on your book. I want to tell you guys about Edge Boost, the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. No usage fees, no minimums. You can earn cashback rewards too, and 100% approval for all betting deposits. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with promo code PRIME. Deposit $25 and Edge Boost will match the deposit. That's edgeboost.bet. We head to a TV timeout where the Celtics have expanded their lead 46-30 now over the Knicks with 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. On the live line, Celtics minus 16.5. Your live total of 193.5. Let's get into Major League Baseball coming up next. I'm Scott Seidenberg. It's VSiN Primetime here on the Sports Betting Network.